Hi, I'm Warren Wilson and I'm an inventor. I invented Better Blocks. They were the children's building block system that bent, shaped, curved and moved. What I'd like to do with you today is to share some of the things I learned along my journey to being a successful inventor, so that should you choose to be an inventor, it'll just make your journey hopefully a little quicker and a little easier. So let's get started. What's the first step that we take? Well, for me, I love inventing and I love inventing children's toys. So it's always around children's toys. That's always what I've invented. And what I found is that if you're working in an area that you love, when you come across obstacles or challenges, which you'll always come across being an inventor, if it's something that you love doing, you'll tend to overcome the obstacles and challenges and keep going. It's a bit like a game, every time now and again you lose a game, but you're still going for the next one. Well, inventing is the same thing. So here's my question to you. Take out your activities book, and the first question is, what do you love doing? Write down what it is you love doing and write down all the things that you know about it. Now, before we do this, there's one rule. And it's the only rule. The rule is that you just write down anything that comes to mind. There's no right or wrong here, we're just gathering information. So with that one rule, go off and write down all the things that you love. Welcome back. How did you go doing that exercise? Was it fun? I imagine it was fun. And when you do these exercises, please feel free to share your information with the other people who are doing it with you, or even ask them for their advice and for their opinions, because the more the merrier, I always say. The more information you got, the better off you are. Now the next thing is the second step, and this is what inventing is all about. And also it's really quite easy. See, inventors, what we do is we just do things differently. We'll take something and do it a different way. Like what I did is I took Lego blocks, which formed mainly straight lines and right angles like these up here, and then I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool if they could move as well? So I invented Better Blocks, which were, as you've seen before, these blocks up here. So I took a great product and just made it do something different. And that's often what inventions are. Inventions can be improvements on products, or they can also be solving problems that people have with products or services. So now my next question is, or the next activity is to go back to your activity sheet, and in question 2, have a look at all your information that you've written down, and then start to list what you can do differently. What problems are people having in that area that you love doing? How can you solve those problems? Because that's where the best inventions, or that's where all inventions come from. So without further ado, and remember, there's no right or wrong in this. Just write down any answer, as crazy as it may seem. So go on and do that now, please. Welcome back. How did you go with that exercise? Did you find yourself not writing down certain answers because you thought they were crazy? They're the ones you need to write down, because you just never know. Well, out of that list, what you do is you pick something, and that gives you something to focus on for your invention. It's like on my list I had Lego blocks, like they formed straight lines and they formed right angles. Now, wouldn't it be cool if you could do the opposite and make blocks that moved? And that's how my invention Better Blocks came about. So what I'm going to ask you to do is go back through your list of differences, list of how you could improve an existing product, cool ideas that would make it better, and choose something that interests you. And that could be the start of your great invention. Welcome back. Have you got the basis for your great invention? I'm sure ideas are starting to form in your minds of, wow, wouldn't it be cool if I could invent this? Well, it brings us to the third step. And this is the step that is really the key to whether your invention or your idea is going to be successful and other people get to use it and other people get to purchase and you get to make money out of it, or it's not going to be successful. And it's simply taking action. Because what I found in my journey as an inventor, Better Blocks was a good idea, but I didn't think it was a great idea. I saw many far greater ideas than Better Blocks never get into the marketplace. And it was simply because the inventors stopped taking action. And it was as simple as that. They just stopped for whatever reasons they had. Whereas I just kept on going, I kept on persisting. Challenges would come up and I'd work out ways to overcome them and keep on going. And I'll share some of those strategies with you a little bit later in this video. But you need to work out really what your next step is. You've got a good idea and it wouldn't be cool if we could invent this, but what was the next step? With Better Blocks, my next step after I had the idea to design or invent a building block that bent, shaped, curved and moved was how was I going to clip the blocks together? Because I wanted them to work like a bicycle chain. But the problem with a bicycle chain is it's not easy to pull the links apart. So that was my next challenge, was to solve that problem. So what I'm asking you to do now is to go back to your worksheets and have a look at the area or thing that you'd like to invent and work out, well, if I want to invent this, what can I do today or what can I do tomorrow to start the ball rolling, to get the momentum going? And it can be even looking up, researching information, but just work out what you can do to start the ball rolling. Welcome back. So this is the 3 key steps to inventing. Now it seems pretty simple, and inventing actually is pretty simple. But the difference to a successful inventor and a not successful inventor is a successful inventor will get to the end of their goal. A not successful inventor won't. So there's various strategies to overcome the problems that you'll face along the way. And I'd like to share a couple of those with you now. One is the very fact of calling a problem a problem. You ever notice when someone says, I got a problem, or you think, I got a problem, you go, wow, like, gee, that's tough, and life's tough, and you don't really feel very inspired to keep going. But if someone says, I got a challenge, you go, wow, actually that could be interesting, we may be able to solve this. So the first thing is that inventing is really very much a mind game. It's my mind that says, Warren, this is too hard, we're going to stop, or Warren, let's keep on going and find an answer. So what I'm trying to do is to make it easier for our minds to make a decision to keep going. So instead of saying problems, why don't you call them challenges? And it may just make all the difference, so you'll keep going to get the solutions that you want to make your invention successful. So again, go back to the activities sheet and write down some of the challenges that you may have to overcome. You don't have to write down any answers yet, but just write down some of the challenges that you think you may have to overcome to make your invention successful. So welcome back again. Did you find a few challenges that you may have to overcome to make your invention successful? I'm sure you did. And what I'd like to share with you now is 2 strategies I found about finding answers. Because it's one thing to have challenges, it's a whole other thing to find the answers for them. And what I found is that often if I ask my mind a specific question, it will go out of its way to find the answers. Let me give you an example of that. When I wanted to build a building block system that moves, I needed to join the blocks together, like I said, like a bicycle chain, but they needed to come apart. Now I had no idea how I was going to do that. And after about probably 6 to 8 weeks of just trying to rack my brain, I'm like, how am I going to do that? All of a sudden the answer came to me and it was right under my nose. And when I say right under my nose, it was right under my nose. Because what I noticed was when I was doing my jeans up one morning, the press stud on a pair of jeans would click together and it would still rotate and you could still pull it apart. And there I thought, why don't I make my building blocks click together the same way? So that's how answers can come to us. They can come to us from unexpected sources. And that system of how the brain works is actually called a reticular activation system. So your challenge or your job now is to go to your activities book and look up and see what reticular activation system means, and just to get an understanding of how it could work for you to solve or find answers to your challenges. So go and do that now. Welcome back. How did you go looking up reticular activation system? Did you discover what it means? Remember, that's always on your side. But what I'd also like to highlight to you is that solutions to your challenges will often come from unexpected sources. And here's another example of that. Like the press stud was an example of that. Here's another example of that. Is that when after I'd finished my prototypes, or making my prototype better blocks, I needed someone to sell them. Because I was an inventor. I wasn't that good at selling or manufacturing or organising the money. That's not what I did. So I started to ask all the traditional sources and go through the traditional sources of finding someone to sell them, and I had no success. And what I was doing one day is I was talking to my sister's boyfriend, John Wilkie. Now he's a cabinet maker. He knows nothing about toys, knows nothing about inventing. But here's what he said to me. He said, Warren, he said, I've got a friend of mine in America, Kelvin. Now he's doing pretty well at selling stuff by direct response TV. He might be interested in your blogs. Now from that offhand comment, I rang Kelvin, and as a result of that offhand comment, Kelvin came on board and we sold $45 million worth of blocks, and we sold enough blocks to fill up 6 houses full to the brim. Now, the point I'm making here is that often by speaking with people, just by observing, we will get answers to our challenges. So the key is just to keep looking and keep searching, because if you're looking for answers, the answers will come. To summarise what we've been through in this quick presentation about how to be an inventor, inventing's all about finding something that you love to do and then doing something different in that area, whatever that is, and then taking action until you successfully got to where you want to go, till you successfully got your invention into the marketplace. And inventing is as simple as that. So what I'd like to do is to thank you for your patience, and hope you enjoyed this presentation as much as I have, and hopefully I'll see your invention in the marketplace in the future. Thanks.